On the path to becoming a regional healthcare center, QP&S expanded its footprint in the area. In the 90s, the clinic had locations in Pittsfield, Mount Sterling, Canton, Lewistown, and Barre.
It was important to be able to support our rural physicians. Our subspecialty physicians were already receiving those referrals from them, and they had already had great one-on-one relationships. But we found that it needed to be deeper, and found that if we were going to take care of the people where they lived, then we needed to basically supply the needs for those clinics. And so it was in the early 90s that they really said that became a focus point. And it was that let's go meet the patient where they are. And when we do that, that'll be a huge part of our growth in the region, and so we can take care of those patients.
In 1991, the Department of Pediatrics opened Pediatric Urgent Care. Similar to the concept of the ambulatory care center, this service allowed families to bring in their children on a walk-in basis for injuries or illnesses. In September of 1992, QP&S unveiled plans for an $11 million building and renovation project. The project included the construction of a new building at 1025 Main Street with 90,000 square feet of clinical space. Looking at healthcare differently was nothing new for the group. In the 90s, QP&S introduced nurse practitioners as part of the care team.
When I started here, I was hired to work with Dr. Schlepphorst. He was, they just developed the position of medical director, and he was doing that half-time. And so he wanted someone to come in and join him so he could maintain his pediatric practice. So I worked full-time with him while he was working half-time. When I started here, it was pretty much a brand new role as a nurse practitioner. There had been a nurse practitioner before myself that had worked here for a couple years, went on maternity leave, and then did come back. But it was pretty new for Quincy Medical Group. And Dr. Schlepphorst was just wonderful at, he's just an excellent teacher, an excellent pediatrician, and just I felt like I got to work with one of the best. And I still do. He's still here part-time, so I still get to work with him part-time.
As construction continued, leaders again looked to the future and introduced a new name, Quincy Medical Group. On May 23, 1994, the first patients were welcomed at 7 a.m. to our new state-of-the-art medical facility at 1025 Main Street. Remaining physician-led was important to the physicians as they continued to keep patients first. The group recruited with that philosophy in mind and welcomed physicians to QMG from around the country and world.
This is one of the most sophisticated, solid groups. I mean, if you go back and you make a comparison of where we were and where we've gone and how we've done the impossible all the time, and it's because you are what you eat. We recruit solid, clinically strong people. Some of the best and smartest people I've met anywhere. It's right here in Quincy. These doctors are great.
With the 1025 Main Street building nearing capacity, our leaders were looking at next steps. Land along Hampshire and Vermont streets was purchased to allow for expansion. As we entered the new millennium, we were feeling the growing pains. The patient demand was there, but the space wasn't. Plans were announced for a new 4-story medical center at 1118 Hampshire, which would include an outpatient surgery center. The surgery center was approved and became an integral part of our 1118 Hampshire building. The long-standing tradition of the Bridge the Gap to Health race began, stemming from internal medicine Dr. John Scott's concern for a patient who wasn't taking his medications as prescribed, all because he couldn't afford the cost. Over that first decade of the race's existence, Bridge the Gap raised over $300,000 to help patients close the gap on the costs of their prescription medications. 2003 was a big year. That spring, our team hosted a sneak peek of the state-of-the-art facility and surgery center for the community. On April 7, 2003, the new facility officially opened. In August, the Cancer Center at Blessing Hospital opened. Dr. Christian Zwick, who was heavily involved in the development of the center, shared the team's vision to offer comprehensive cancer care right here. In 2005, Dr. Dan Evans, who started with Physicians and Surgeons Clinic in 1981, became CEO of QMG.
It's amazing. All you have to do is look at any chart and you can see when when Dan Evans ran for the board, Dan is Frank Sinatra for this group. Dan is the founding father of modern Quincy Medical Group. You want to talk about Quincy Medical Group successful? Put Dan right at the top of it.
In 2006, QMG's leaders decided to lease the surgery center in our 1118 Hampshire building to Blessing Hospital. QMG maintained oversight of day-to-day operations. In 2007, the QMG Foundation was formally established with a mission to give back to our communities. In 2009, the foundation supported its first community project, the Jackson Lincoln Swimming Complex. QMG grew its presence in different ways. Early in the 2000s, we established a new website, putting vital information at patients' fingertips. QMG also continued to grow outside of Quincy, with the opening of a second location in Pittsfield, new clinics in Winchester and LaBelle, and an expansion in Barrie. Partnerships were formed with other healthcare organizations to help bring specialty and subspecialty care to more towns throughout the area.